Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Melina from Me Crafty Scrapper on Instagram and here on YouTube. I have had quite a few requests to show how I made this cascading flip album. So that's what we're going to do today. If you want to go along with me, you can pause the video and get you some chipboard. You will need a 6x8 piece of chipboard. You will need some solid cardstock to cover it, so 6 3/4 by 8 3/4 piece of solid to cover that chipboard. And it does not have to be really thick chipboard. It can be, you know, cereal box or something. This one's, you know, a little flimsy. Not too flimsy, but a little flimsy. It can be cereal box. It doesn't have to be thick chipboard. Okay, then you need the pattern paper, or not pattern paper, solid cardstock to go over it. Then you will need some trim. Now, I used thick lace on this one. You can use thin. I mean, you could even use a couple of strands of baker's twine. You don't even need thick. That one's thick, but I'm going to use this trim. This was in the September e-club kit from scrapbookingwithme.com. So I'm going to use this, and it is 26 inches long. So 2 feet and 2 inches long. And you might not need all that, but you want to have more and not less when you go to cut it in the middle to do your bow. Okay? And you will need some plain cardstock. So I'm using white here on this one that we're going to make today. I use craft on this one. So you can choose whatever color cardstock you want as your flip bases. And I'm going to use white today. You will need 6 of these. And they are cut 6 inches by 5.5 inches. Okay? So you'll need 6 of those. I've already scored those. I'm going to score this one with you in just a minute. Okay, and then you will need, for the card that's on the bottom back, this card, that part is a piece of white cardstock. You can use whatever color you want, but that's the white cardstock, and it is cut 5 inches by 11 inches, and then we're going to score that. I've already went over the trim. Here is how, if you haven't seen that August video that I made, here's how this works. So you have 6 flips. So you will need 6 of those. And we're going to score those. And that's that part, that scored part right there. Okay. And then you will need pattern paper, of course, to decorate your album. I am not probably going to decorate this one that we made today because I already have one finished and decorated. You'll need some pattern paper and whatever you're wanting to decorate the back with, you'll need that. And remember, this base part is 6x8. Okay, so let's get started on our tutorial today. I'm going to tie this back and put it off to the side, but so that you can still see it while we're decorating this one, or not decorating, but assembling this one. Okay, so I've already cut my base card chipboard 6x8 inches. 6 inches by 8 inches. Now, I told you 6 3/4 by 8 3/4 because I cut mine 6.5 by 8.5, and I should have cut it a little bigger. I'm just going to go with that though. You want just a little bit more because you're going to fold this over, put score tape on it and fold this over. So you want it to stay snug for you. So when you cut your paper that's going to go over and cover this chipboard, you're going to cut it 6 3/4 inches by 8 3/4 inches. These are all U.S. measurement terms. So if you are watching me and you are not in the U.S., you'll have to look up these measurements for yourself as far as your measurements go in your neck of the woods. All right, so these are the folds, and they are 6 inches by 5.5 inches. So 6 inches tall by 5.5 inches wide. And you're going to score each one of them on the 6-inch side. You're going to score each one at the half mark, okay? So I've done these 5. Here is the 6th one. Now make sure that you are not putting it that way and trimming on the half mark. This is the 5.5. So you want it on the 6-inch length side, okay? So 6-inch length side, and you're going to come to the 1/2 inch score mark, and you're going to score, okay? That gives us 6 folds all scored, okay? All right, we will come back to that. I was just wanting to do that first to get the big score pal out of the way. You will need your bone folder for later, so keep that handy dandy, okay? All right, trim is later. Here is our 6 by 8, and I'm going to get some of the art glitter glue and some score tape. This is the 3/4, I think, inch score tape. I don't know, it might be, no, it's 1/2 inch. Anyway, it's what it is. And I'm going to put my score tape down. If anybody is wondering about why I'm not as consistent with my videos as I have been being, life has just been getting in the way. Which I'm fine with that because it's family. But I'll try my best to get back in the swing of things, putting multiple videos a week up. Right now I'm just really getting one a week. Okay, let me get that and really burnish that down so it sticks really well. And then I have to use this little handy dandy tool to get the backing off. My nails just don't work anymore. Okay, and then I'm going to put this art glitter glue in between the strips when I get these backs off. Okay. And art glitter glue. In between and on the edges. Now you use whatever glue you like. This is what works for me, so I'm using it. Y'all will hear the dog in the background. And Aaron is home also. It's just he and I here at the house right this moment. So you may hear the dog and you may hear Aaron in his room that is right next to my craft room. And that is okay too, because if I'm going to get any videos done, I'm going to have to do them when people are here, because right now that's just how it is with COVID and all that. Everybody's home. Okay, you're going to center that up as good as possible, and then you're going to use your bone folder and get it nice and put down. Okay. And then anybody that has watched Mom's videos, when you're going to do a wraparound, you know what you need to do. Here on the corners, you got to go, I mean, just almost right on that corner, clipping those off, because when you start to turn them and glue them down, you don't want that extra on the edges. Okay, so there are our corners cut off. And then I'm going to get this really skinny score tape, and I'm going to put it on the chipboard, and then I'm going to use the art glitter glue on the cardstock, just so I can get a good grip. This is the 1/8 inch score tape, and you can get all of this adhesive in the shop, scrapbookingwithme.com. This is under Tools and Adhesive tab, I do believe. I mean, if you make any kind of mini book or 3D projects of any kind, and you don't have score tape, I don't know how you're making it. Okay, we're not going to cover this on the back just yet, so don't put adhesive there yet. And make sure to get that down really good so you don't have any bubbles when you start to bring that cardstock around. Now, remember, I cut mine too short here. I did mine 6.5 by 8.5. I want you to cut yours at 6 3/4 by 8 3/4, so you have plenty here, okay, to fold over. And here we go with some art glitter glue down the edges here. I like doing that. It gets that really good and covered, and then it'll squish in too. Y'all like that? Squish. It'll squish in. My Alabama dialect, all for free there for you. But no, I was saying that y'all will hear the dog and hear Aaron, because normally I have the door closed to my craft room, and maybe when it gets cooler here in Alabama I won't have this issue, but when I close that door and start doing videos, it is so hot in here. And we have a central unit. We have a vent in this room. But for whatever reason, this room stays the warmest out of our whole house. And right now, the sun is beaming in that window that I've got back behind me. And it's, I don't know, whatever time in the afternoon. So yeah, I'm getting all of that afternoon sun beaming right in. Okay, so you are going to go around every side and start turning it up. And see, this is what I'm talking about. You want to cut it 6 3/4 by 8 3/4, so you're not having to struggle as bad as I am right now, trying to get that up there. Okay. All right. And once you get it like that, you can start folding it over. See, look at that itty bitty 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 little bit I've got to fold over. Struggle. Which the sides will be a little bit more for whatever reason. Now, I will show you when I get all of these corners up. Now see, you're going to have that little naked part, but it's going to be okay because you're going to cover this back. Okay. So keep turning up, turning up, turning up. Turning up, turning up, turning up. Okay. And that one's wanting to come up all the way for whatever reason. I guess it's so short that it's pulling up the score tape. Ain't it pitiful? And you can tell that I didn't get it, that chipboard centered. Oh well. Okay, and I am going to put something heavy on this for just a minute while I show you what I was about to say on this other one. Old pictures that I got developed and hadn't put in scrapbooks yet. Okay, so on this one, I didn't do the corner and cover. I just cut a 6x8 piece of cardstock, 6x8 piece of cardstock, and covered the front and back. And so that left naked edges. And I didn't really like that, so I wanted to do this where you fold them over. So that's how I did the original one. I just cut a 6x8 piece of cardstock for the front and back and put it on. Now, you do not need to put on the back until you get your trim closure on. And that happens after you get the fold down and that little card on the back. So don't put your back on yet. Okay, let's go ahead and get our bone folder while that's drying a little bit. Let's get our bone folder. And we're going to go ahead and fold these score lines over. That's on all 6. Go ahead and fold them over. And then we're going to cut our card for the back. That's the only piece that I didn't get pre-cut before I started the video. So we can cut that together while that's finishing drying. Okay. And one more. There we go. All right, so there's all of your folds scored. And you should have, with the score down, you should have 5.5 by 5.5 square piece there. Okay. Now for the card piece that's on the bottom underneath all the folds on this, you need to cut it. Let me get my pad back. You need to cut it 5 inches by 11 inches, and then we're going to score this also. So I'm going to move this. I'm running out of room on my desk. All right, so 5 inches, and we need to do it this way. Yes, this way. So we're cutting it 5 inches, and this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So you've got 5 inches by 11. You don't have to cut on the other side. Let me get my paper trimmer out of the way and pick up the big old score pal again. And you are going to, see, we got 11 by 5, 5 by 11. And you're going to score it at 2 3/4. So there's 2.5. I'm going to 2 3/4. And then you're also going to score it at 8 1/4. So 8 there's the half, go down, there's the fourth, 8 1/4, and 2 3/4. Now, if you have a small score pal and it's not, you know, the big one like this, if it's 6 inches, you just score it at 2 3/4 and then flip it over and score it again at 2 3/4. Okay, so that is our card, gatefold card, that's going to go in the back of this. And I flip mine when I score and make the valley for the score. That's that indented part. When I make the valley of my score, I try to remember to always fold on the heel. It folds better for me for whatever reason when I fold the valley on the outside and the heel on the inside. I fold on the heel. For whatever reason, my score marks work better like that. Now, anytime you are cutting or scoring a gatefold card, you might have some wonky stuff. And if I'd have scored this on the valley side, I would have had it even more wonky. So I'm going to put those two ends together and evenly, and then I'm going to go back while I'm still holding that middle and burnish those score marks again. Okay, so there is our card base for that. And if you'll look, this is 5 1/2 inches wide when you're done, and it matches up with the 5 1/2 inches wide that these are. Okay, so there are your folds and your card base for this mini album. And let's pick these up, put them back. All right. Okay, so there is my covered chipboard with that cardstock, and this is going to go on just like this. Okay, and you're going to have that edge on each side. And what you're going to do is you're going to start at the very tip top of this to put your first fold. You're not going to do any decorating until after you've added these on. So you're going to turn the fold underneath, and you're going to attach it like that. Okay, getting the same width on each side of your base, and you're going to start it. I mean, I have left the tiniest of tiny where you can barely see the green up here at the top. Okay, you are going to put your score tape on the back side of that fold. So I'm going to go through all of these and put score tape on the back side of the fold. Okay. So see, the score tape is there. You're eventually going to take that score tape, the top off of it, and that's how you're going to attach these. Okay, so you're going to do this 6 times. I'll show you one more time. This is the 6 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock you cut. That's the 1/2 inch score. And then on that back side, you're going to put your score tape. Okay, just like that. And of course you can go across with your bone folder, making sure you don't have any bubbles. Okay, you're going to do that on all 6, and I will be right back. All right, I have got score tape on all 6 of my flaps or folds, and now I'm going to take off the score tape off of the very first one that I'm going to start with at the top. Okay, and then on your tall side, not like this, on your tall side, I want to turn it. This is going to be upside down, because if I do it like this, like I would normally be doing it, all you're going to see is the top of my head. So I'm going to do it like this. All right, you want to make sure that you have the same amount of space on either side. Now, if you want to measure it, you can. I'm not going to. I might regret that later. I didn't on the first one. I'm good. Okay. You're just going to barely see any green up here at the top. Whatever cardstock you use to cover your base, you're just barely going to see it at the top here. And I can tell that I need to pull that up on that side just a mite. Okay. I'm going to pull it down. Make sure you look even. And then you're going to get that score tape good and down. And then lift it up. And burnish that again. Okay. So this is the top. Here's your first fold. Okay. Now, I'm going to have y'all turning yours upside down when you make it. But I'm only doing this so that you won't see the top of my head. Because I would literally have to get on top of it to make sure that I'm doing it right. Okay. Here is that first fold, that first flap. There's that 1/2 inch fold over. You're going to butt this one up to that one, okay? So I'm going to turn it sideways for you just so you can watch me. This and this, the flaps underneath, okay? And you're just going to butt it up against, not on top of, you're just going to butt this up against that, the bottom part of that fold, that 1/2 inch fold. Okay. There's your bottom flap. There's that bottom flap. See what I'm doing here? Bottom flap, bottom flap. And you can barely see any of the cardstock there. Okay, you're going to burnish that really good. Fold it over. Do it again. Okay. Now, when you start layering on down and making your cascade, you want to try your best to get it even with the one below it. Okay. So let's do one more together. Take my score tape backing off. Okay. This is the front. This is the fold over. And you're just backing that front up to the bottom of that fold over from the previous one. Okay. That's all you're doing. Okay, and you get it as close as possible. Okay. go. We're starting to get it. This second one is going awry a little bit, so I want to, because see, I barely got it too far over. So I want to get it folded correctly. So I'm going to come back up here. Because I mean, it's just barely off. Okay. That realigns it a little bit better. Okay. I'm going to do that to that top one too. Just realign them how you need them. And you're good. All right, so there's the first, second, and third one. And all I'm going to do is put these last three the exact same way. And I'll be right back. Okay, so there are all 6 of my folds, my flaps, my cascade done. Okay, now what we're going to do, I'll show you on this one. There's all the flaps and the cascades, the folds, whatever you want to call them. Now what you're going to do is put this card base at the bottom of this flap. Okay, so same exact idea, but this is the card base going up against that 1/2 inch right there. Okay, and then when you close these flaps, it's covered. Okay. All right. So what you're going to do is put score tape all along the back side of your gatefold card. You're going to put score tape all over the back, because you will not need to decorate the back, because that is going to be forever on your mini album base. Okay, so I'm going to put quite a bit just to make sure that it stays, and then mess that up. Put that down there. Okay, got me a new end that doesn't have cardstock on it, and just got back at it. And of course, this might be overkill to some, but I just want to make sure that it stays down, because it does not ever need to come up again. Okay, so we're going to go over our score tape with our bone folder, and then pick up all of our backing. Okay, one more. All right, and then fold over if you got any that went a little long. Fold those over. Now, put all these in the garbage to get them out of the way. You're going to turn it sideways, or I turn it sideways, just so that I can get it as close as possible, butted up against those. I'm going to turn it upside down too, just to make sure. Okay, there we go. And then you're going to use your bone folder and smooth it down so there are no bubbles and it stays put. Okay, so that is going to sit up some from that, and that's why you need your closure of trim on the side. Okay, so you can decorate this now before we do the back and before we put our trim on. You can decorate this now. If you want to cover the entire thing and not use the mat like I did, you know, you just cut them you cut your pattern paper 5.5 by 5.5. It's going to cover the entire flap. If you want to cut them so that they have that little mat around it, so that, you know, some of the cardstock shows, you will need to cut them, I think it's a 1/4 inch smaller. I'm gonna get this pretty Christmas paper out and cut that and see if that is correct. Okay, let's see here. Get out of here, little gnat. All right, 5.25. There's 5.25. And 5.25. Yep. So see, that's what I did on this one. I cut it 1/4 inch down. So you're going to use 5.25 by 5.25 to cover these so that you have that mat. 1/4 smaller. I'm changing my thing here. So you will need to do it 5.25 by 5.25 to get you that pretty mat all around the edge. And you'll need to do that 12 times because you've got the front and the back of each one. Now, when you are doing the backs, if it is a pattern that is directional, I was going to see, I didn't use any directional patterns on the back sides. So say if you were going to put this one on the back side, you would need to put it like this. So it would actually be upside down if you're just looking at your album this way. But if you're going to use a directional pattern paper on the back, you'll need to add it like this. Okay, that's for the back side. If it's not directional, it doesn't matter which way you put it on the back side of your flaps. But if you want the little mat, you'll just need to cut it 1/4 inch smaller. So 5.25 by 5.25 to get that mat along the edges of all of that. If you want to decorate now, go ahead and pause me. And then come back. If you have already decorated, you've already watched this video, whatever, you want to go ahead and we'll do the back and put our trim on. If you want to decorate and you need the dimensions on this, these are, oh yeah, and the little bitty fold over flaps. I cheated on this one. It's 1 centimeter. I used the side of my ruler because I said I'm horrible at measurements when it comes off of the 8/4 quarter, 8/4, half, and 3/4. So these are 1 centimeter tall and then 5 1/4 wide. So 1 centimeter and 5 1/4. All right. And then your pattern paper for this is just an 1/8. I did an 1/8. Just barely did an 1/8 of an inch around the edges on that. So like 2 5/8, 2 5/8, 2 5/8, 2 5/8. And then tall is 4 7/8. So 2 5/8 by 4 7/8 is going to get you an 1/8 of an inch around the 2 gatefold flaps on front and back. So you'll need 4 of those. And then this is 5 3/8 by 4 7/8. So 4 7/8 tall for your pattern papers on your card flap. Okay, and then these are 2 5/8, 2 5/8, 2 5/8, 2 5/8, and then that one is 5 3/8. So that is your measurements for your pattern paper, because I'm not going to decorate this one because you've already got one decorated here. I'm not going to decorate it here on this video. I just don't want the video to be forever long. Okay, I can always go back and decorate after I have put on my trim. That is what we're going to do now. Okay, I've got my 26 inches of lace trim here. You want it pretty sturdy because when you fold it, it's going to hold this down so it doesn't balloon out like that. Now, when you're displaying this, once you get the pattern paper on, it's a little more sturdy and it does kind of stand up for you, especially when you prop open. See that? When you prop open that card, you get a little more sturdy bottom on it, and you can display it like that if you want to, but it's really pretty just laid out. Okay, now what you're going to do for this trim, do not put it on as tight as possible and just glue it on the back. You need that extra on the back. So you're going to figure out where you want this. And you're going to put your ends, you're going to glue your ends, and you're going to have all of this extra, okay? But you're going to eventually cut this, and that's how you're going to get your bow, okay? So you're going to turn it over, and I'm going to put... You'll hear Aaron Jonas in the background singing. Sorry about that. Let's see. I'm going to put about 2 inches of the ribbon, the trim, whatever, in. Okay? I want my decoration going that way. So whatever direction you want your trim, you'll want to do that now too. Determine that for you. And then about, I'm going to say 2 1/4 inches. So 2 1/4 inches in. You are going to put down some score tape and some liquid glue. Okay, so score tape, and it doesn't matter if you go a little further because you're eventually going to cover this. Well, right after you do this, you're going to cover the back. Okay, so you put your score tape down, and then I'm going to put some art glitter glue on top of that. I'm going to go in. Yep, 2 1/4 inches. Put me some art glitter glue on the edges, and this is just so that it stays down really good. And you're going to put cardstock on top of this. Okay, Get that down as good as you can. Then you're going to flip it over. Make sure you're not twisted, and you're wanting to go as straight as possible. Okay. And then, remember, don't go tight. You're just going to go another 2 1/4 in on this edge. So about right there. And just get it lined up. It looks pretty darn lined up to me. And you're going to get some more score tape. I'm going to turn us around here. And like I said, even if you come off from underneath that a little bit, you don't get it lined up, the score tape lined up perfectly, don't worry about it, because you're going to be covering this with cardstock anyway. All right, make sure we're not twisted. We're going to line up as closely as possible. I think that's over a little too much. Okay, we're going to do that because I want to come back around here and make sure we're even and it looks good. I'm going to come back and put some liquid glue under here. Okay. Make it all good and messy on the back. And then I'm going to cut my cardstock for the back. I have decided I'm going to make this a Christmas one, so I'm going to go with this pretty red. And you can go with whatever color you would like, but I'm going to cut this 6 inches by 8 inches. Okay, so try to get this done before your glue dries over there, because you will need that. All right, so 6 inches. About 8 inches. Okay, and score tape, score tape. Make sure of what side is the back side. This one has some ridging on one side. I want that ridging on the front. So I'm going to put score tape on all sides. So your ribbon is going to have, or your trim is going to have score tape on both sides of it, and liquid adhesive on both sides of it, so it's pretty sturdy. Gonna stay pretty good. I'm not concerned. I am concerned about how I picked up that score tape though, because I didn't burnish it. I'm just trying to hurry before that glue dries that's on top of that trim. Okay, that. Well, poo. There we go. And one more. Glue don't dry on me. Okay. Some more art glitter glue. Go around on the naked places. Okay, and then art glitter glue in the corners, pretty good. And then I'm going to come in here, get my ribbon out of the way. Center that up some. Okay, and then you're going to go on top of that ribbon pretty good. And then, like I did here on this one, you'll probably want to, you know, put some extra decoration on the back, just because where you put that cardstock down right in here, it's a little bit bulky. So I just covered it up with some more decoration. Okay, so there is our trim covered over with this cardstock, and I'll go back and add some more decoration later to cover up, you know, the bulkiness there, that where you can see that trim. And you're going to hold your trim up here, and I apologize if that is a little blurry to you because I'm a little closer to the camera. And I'm going to get my scissors, come up in the middle, and cut your trim. And then you have your two flaps to make your bow. I say I don't like a lot of long tails, so I made mine 26 inches. If you want longer tails than this, make it 30 inches. Okay, just don't make it any shorter than 26 inches. You can even do it in a double knot if you wanted to. Okay, don't go any shorter than 26 inches because then you won't have any tails to work with. Okay, so there is your base and start of right before decorating step-by-step tutorial on how to make the Cascading flip album that I made with last month. That's August 2020. I made with last month's e-club kit from scrapbookingwithme.com. Now, I do believe I did make this one 30 inches. But, you know, I just wanted to show you how little you would need in case you don't have a lot of trim just laying around. This one's 30 inches. So anywhere from 26 to 30 inches is how you'll need to cut that trim. But that is it, guys, and decorate it however you would like. I would love to see pictures of your creations in the Scrapbooking with Me Facebook group. I would love to see you there, and I would love to see how you make this and how you decorate it. So there it is. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment in the description below. I will leave all the dimensions, which I did in the August video, but I'll go ahead and leave those again. And if you are not a subscriber to my channel, please do so. Give me a thumbs up on this video. Let me know some projects you would like to see here on my YouTube channel. And I will see you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, y'all.